Speaking of Israel, which is just this arbitrary country that was, the secular nation state that was founded in 1948, Ukraine is much the same. It's fake. These were arbitrary borders that were set up after Lenin's communist revolution. Communism, also Jewish, by the way. So you have this Jew who's banning opposition television channels and who is committing war crimes in Ukraine. These Azov battalion neo-Nazis that serve at the direct pleasure of Volodymyr Zelensky are actually hunting down the family members of Russian soldiers, and they're actually literally eating opposition soldiers. We're watching as these Jews in Israel are carrying out a genocide. And you said, well, this is propaganda. A lot of people can just go right on Twitter and they can look at the official Israeli government channels and they can see the carpet bombing that's happening right now. They can see these kids getting slaughtered right now. These people are openly committing open-air genocide in that open-air concentration camp. This is exactly why the Jewish-controlled and Jewish-funded media has to give boomers and all of these unsuspecting victims that have been led to their death, especially from COVID-19 and all the safe and effective vaccines that we now know about thanks to died suddenly, which combated the Jewish narrative. This is why this Jewish-controlled, Jewish-funded media has to paint Vladimir Putin as the bad guy. This is the guy that kicked the Rothschild criminal central banking cabal out of his country. This is the guy that turned his country back to God, Christian orthodoxy. These people are being murdered. Christians and all kinds of innocent people from the Muslim faith. All of these people are being genocided and murdered, shot in the back. More humanitarian aid people have been killed in this particular conflict by people who call themselves Jews than ever. Armenians are being killed. Israel has the lowest international approval rating in the world right now because the world is watching genocide. So they're watching it live on Twitter right now. You can go to any other channel and watch the Israeli official government channels and watch apartment complexes be completely obliterated and flattened with children in them. So as people are starting to notice, there's more noticing going on. That's why the international approval rating is the lowest in world history. Does that mean that they're all anti-Semitic? Is the whole world anti-Semitic? Is that what's happening? Or do they all hate Jews? Or do they just hate mass murder? Or do they just hate ethnic cleansing and genocide and they don't want to fund it anymore? Why are we sending trillions of dollars Israel to fund this Iron Dome? Why are they our greatest ally? Why doesn't anybody want to talk about how Israel took out the USS Liberty and murdered all of those naval personnel, and then it was covered up by LBJ, Lyndon B. Johnson? Why doesn't anybody want to talk about how Israel has never fought alongside of America in any one of these interventions? Not that it's their obligation to do so, but why is it our obligation to protect them? What about U.S. Congress people and their dual citizenship? What about this idiot, this bloviating blowhard that wears an IDF uniform into our U.S. congressional? Why are we doing this? Why are we funding genocide? Do you think the American people overwhelmingly support genocide? No, they don't. Because that's why Israel has the lowest international approval rating in world history ever right now. People don't want to see Jews executing and mass murdering and genociding and ethnic cleansing any population at all. And it's the Jews that are responsible, or people who call themselves Jews, for doing all of this. Everything that you see, if you're running a company, when you look at your company and a particular thing is going wrong in your company, you look to, well, who's leading that part of the company? Well, when you look at a country whose dick is being dragged into the dirt right now, and you see everything is absolutely going wrong, you can't even walk down the street and look at infrastructure that's normal anymore. Bridges are collapsing, trains are derailing, liquids and poisonous toxins are going into river water tables everywhere. East Palestine, Ohio. Planes are just falling down out of the air thanks to the booster shots that were pushed by the Israeli Jewish-funded media. When you look at the country and you say, why is it falling apart? In every single sector, in every one of our bureaucracies, in every one of our institutions, in every one of our non-elected bureaucrats that are making all of these decisions, guess what? Overwhelmingly, they are Jews. People who claim to be Jews. And I see that as a major problem. Everybody says, well, that's anti-Semitic. No, it isn't. It's a factual observation. And so if it was Muslims that were infiltrating our government, or if there was a bunch of Chinamen that were doing this, and I saw this big occupation and infiltration in a country that, by the way, is borderline being conquered right now, we're about to lose our country. We are leaving our children with an imminent bloodbath. And it's all at the hands of people who call themselves Jews. So you explain that. That's the problem that I have. And so you say that I go on my program every day and all I do is spew Jew hate. No, you know what I hate? I hate mass murder. I hate genocide, and I hate funding it. And so does the rest of America. And you want to talk about ushering in an antichrist, killing heifers. None of this is biblical. None of this is biblical. What about the land? What about what's sitting on the land right now? What's going to happen there? What's going to happen to the Muslims that are there? Well, If we're looking at by example of what's already happening, they're just going to murder everyone that gets in their way. And that includes Christians. So it's not China. It's not extremist Muslim terrorists. It's not Venezuela. It's not anybody else. The people that are dictating the foreign policy for this country that's allowing for our open borders and a physical invasion of military-aged men that are setting up sleeper cells in our country right now, guess who they are? People who claim to be Jews. So if we can't name the people who are infiltrating every single one of our bureaucracies and senselessly murdering children, convincing them that it's okay to chop off their dick and call themselves a girl,